In the long, grand history of Rome, countless brave warriors and brilliant generals have come and gone. But one name rises above them all, a name synonymous with strategic genius, unmatched political skill, and sheer audacity: Gaius Julius Caesar. Caesar wasn't just another successful soldier. He was a visionary who understood the heart of the Roman warrior, and he used that power to topple a republic and build the foundation of an empire. His courage wasn't limited to the battlefield. It was woven into every decision he made, every risk he took, and the incredible loyalty he inspired in his men. This is the story of that legendary Roman warrior, the man who changed the course of history with his sword and his mind. Caesar was born in 100 BCE into a respected but fading aristocratic family. He began his military career at a time of great turmoil, when Rome was constantly on the verge of civil war. But it was in the vast, untamed wilderness of Gaul, modern-day France, where Caesar's true genius for warfare would be unleashed. Starting in 58 BCE, Caesar led his legions on an 8-year campaign to conquer Gaul. This was an extraordinary undertaking. He faced fierce, courageous tribes who knew their dense forests intimately and weren't intimidated by traditional Roman tactics. For years, Caesar and his men marched relentlessly for thousands of miles, built incredible feats of engineering, and systematically defeated tribe after tribe. What made Caesar so successful was his unpredictable strategy. He often put his army in situations that seemed impossible, where the odds were stacked against them. But he always radiated a supreme confidence that electrified his soldiers, and he would consistently shock his enemies with unexpected lightning-fast attacks. His campaigns in Gaul weren't just a conquest. They were a masterclass in leadership and innovative warfare. The absolute pinnacle of Caesar's military career, the moment that still leaves military historians in awe, was the siege of Alesia in 52 BCE here. Caesar faced his greatest adversary, the charismatic Gallic leader, Vercingetorix, who had united the tribes and become a symbol of their resistance. Vercingetorix had gathered his forces inside the heavily fortified hilltop town of Alesia, daring the Romans to attack. Caesar, arriving with his legions, decided to besiege the fortress. He ordered his men to construct a massive wall of fortifications around Alesia, an inner ring about 14 miles long. The goal was to trap Vercingetorix and starve his army into submission. This alone was a monumental task. But then Caesar received alarming news. A massive Gallic relief army, perhaps 250,000 warriors strong, was marching to rescue Vercingetorix. Any other general might have retreated. But Caesar's response was one of incredible audacity. He ordered the construction of a second, even longer wall and outer ring about 21 miles long to protect his own army from the arriving Gauls. Think about that. Caesar's legions were now trapped in the middle, sandwiched between two hostile armies. They were simultaneously the besiegers and the besieged. They were both the hunters and the hunted. When the massive Gallic relief force finally attacked from the outside, Vercingetorix launched a simultaneous attack from inside Alesia. Caesar's legions were being squeezed from both sides. In this moment of extreme crisis, Caesar didn't command from the rear. He rode personally into the thickest parts of the fighting, rallying his troops, encouraging the wounded, and deploying his reserves at the perfect moment. His personal presence on the front line was like a jolt of lightning, inspiring his soldiers to fight with superhuman strength. The result was a victory that should have been impossible. The Gallic relief army was shattered, Vercingetorix was forced to surrender, and Gaul was decisively won for Rome. The siege of Alesia became a testament to Caesar's iron will and tactical brilliance. After his stunning victories in Gaul, Caesar's fame and power grew immensely. Back in Rome, the Senate became deeply fearful of his influence. They ordered him to disband his army and return to the city as a private citizen, where he would likely face prosecution from his political enemies. The Rubicon River marked the legal boundary of his province. Roman law strictly forbade any general from crossing it with a standing army. In 49 BCE, Caesar stood at that river facing a monumental choice. He could obey the Senate, give up his power, and face an uncertain fate. Or he could defy the law, march on Rome, and plunge the Republic into civil war. He chose the path of the rebel. As he led his legion across the river, he uttered the immortal words, "Alia iacta est." The die is cast. This wasn't just an act of military defiance. It was an act of profound political and personal courage. He was betting everything: his life, his honor, and the future of Rome on a single, decisive move. In that moment, he became Rome's greatest lawbreaker and its greatest revolutionary, setting the stage for a conflict with his former friend and Rome's other great general, Pompey the Great. The civil war came to a head on the plains of Pharsalus in 48 BCE. Caesar's army was exhausted, outnumbered, and low on supplies. They faced Pompey's much larger force, which had the full backing of the Senate. On paper, Caesar should have lost. But his army had something more powerful than numbers: an unbreakable, absolute loyalty to their general. They believed in him, and he believed in them. Pompey's strategy relied on his superior cavalry, which he planned to use to crush Caesar's right flank. But Caesar, ever the innovator, had a surprise. He had secretly trained and hidden a special fourth line of infantry behind his main force. He gave these men a shocking and unconventional order. When Pompey's cavalry charged, they were not to throw their javelins or pila, as was standard practice. Instead, they were to hold them like spears and thrust upwards, aiming for the faces and eyes of the horsemen. This brutal, unexpected tactic, which broke all the rules of Roman warfare, caused sheer panic. Pompey's elite cavalry broke and fled, shattering the morale of his entire army. The battle quickly turned into a rout. With this single stroke of creative genius, Caesar secured a decisive victory against overwhelming odds, proving once again his mastery of both strategy and the psychology of war. Caesar's bravery, however, went far beyond the battlefield. He was a leader who truly connected with his men. He never commanded from a safe distance. He marched with his legions on the toughest journeys, ate the same rations they did, and made it a point to know many of his soldiers by name. This deep bond was the true source of his army's strength. His soldiers didn't just fight for Rome, they fought for Caesar. He also showed great political skill, often choosing mercy over revenge. He famously pardoned many of his political and military enemies, an act of clemency that won him allies and strengthened his position. And he was a brilliant author. His own written accounts, like his commentaries on the Gallic War, served as masterful works of propaganda, but they are also invaluable historical records that give us a direct window into his leadership. In the end, Julius Caesar was the ultimate embodiment of the Roman warrior ideal. He ushered in a new era for Rome, one where the will, intellect, and courage of a single man could overshadow the power of an entire Senate. Though his life was cut short by assassins in 44 BCE, his legacy is eternal. He proved that the true strength of a Roman legion lay not in its swords and shields, but in the leadership of a general who could inspire his men to make the impossible possible. After him, the rulers of Rome would adopt the title Caesar, and to this day, his name remains a powerful symbol of leadership and absolute authority. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Roman history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the greatest figures from our past.